Hi, I'm Carolyn,
And I'm Davy.
and we're just two Asian women having candid conversations about whatever the hell we want to talk about with an intersectional flair. That's important.
That being said, today we're going to talk about how you can create your own space with physical and mental boundaries. So get comfy and stick around. Hey everybody, my name is Davy. I'm from Long Beach, California. And a fun fact is I want a tattoo of my grandpa and grandma's name in Khmer.
My name is Carolyn, the other half of Just Two Asian Women. I'm in San Diego. I'm 25, and I also want a tattoo, but I want portraits of my dogs. Aside from all that tattoo talk, we are gonna talk about how to create your own space. But I feel like we need to explain what we mean by that, and we do not mean fucking interior design, though that could be a part of it if you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more like carving out a space where your physical space and your mental space in your head coincide really well with each other in order to give you like maximum like productivity if that's what you want the space to do, or like maximum like happiness or peacefulness if that's what you want your space to do. So it's that interplay of like how your physical space affects your headspace. I suppose you could say that is a little bit like a safe space, but I feel like conservatives have like fucking co-opted that word and taken it over. So I don't really like using that word anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's actually really good timing considering during this pandemic, we're staying home a lot more, at least the responsible ones. Okay, I'm so judgy. But Carolyn and I have been like hermit crabs. And I think for those, who want to come back to a nice space and have a good mental space as well, this is super important during this time, especially if you live with family like we do. We have limited space and a lot more interaction with them. This might be a good episode for you.
Yeah, just having an area to like unwind or just like chill out or like just vibe, or a place to just exist is like you said, we're in a pandemic, we're inside more often. It's important now more than ever to make that for yourself. And I feel like some people never get around to it because they're usually just out and about anyway. So what's the point?
And we're going to section this off into physical boundaries, mental boundaries, and then
Mm-hmm.
takeaways. I'm going to start off with sleep space. I learned a little bit about sleep psychology. And basically, what I mean by this is when you have your bed or your sleeping area, is that for me, I like to make sure I do not bring any work onto my bed. I was looking at Carolyn's story today. I was like, oh my
I
goodness.
literally was working in my bed today. That's so funny.
Basically, I keep my sleep space only for sleep, and then you can potentially sleep or sex, right?
Yeah.
So that way your brain associates it with a very peaceful place versus people have like poor sleep hygiene, tend to do like a lot of different things on their bed, eat, sleep,
Mm.
work, etc. So it's harder for them to relax. So I try to make sure I'm strict about that. I do like falter sometimes. I'm on my phone in bed but I like to watch like YouTube videos, but I think that's relaxing. So I think that's okay because I fall asleep
Right.
pretty easily.
Like things that help you unwind, you do in bed.
Exactly.
Wow, I didn't know that. I literally all the things that you said you try not to do, I literally do all of that on my bed. I have full on dinner platters on my bed. I do work on my bed. But no, that's good to know. That's good to know.
And then in terms of moving on to career and work, well, right now I have to work in person in the classroom on Zoom. The kids are not in yet. So that's kind of already built into my physical boundary. I keep work at work. I don't like to bring work home because I
Mhm.
just want to make sure I have that strict boundary. When it comes to my house, I have a bed that has like curtains over it. I live in the living room. So like that has a physical boundary. And then I have a desk that's set up in the hallway, and that's kind of sectioned off for like my personal work, like, doing JTAW and YouTube and like just other research I like to do. Yeah. So I really like my desk. And I really like my bed. I don't know,
Mhm.
it's everything separated to me. It makes sense in my head. It's like compartmentalizing everything and it helps me a lot.
No, that makes total sense to keep everything separate because like whatever energy you bring into that space, like it stays there. And I know that sounds very hippy dippy, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But it's like, it's like when you break up with somebody and then you go to like the desk that you two used to fucking watch your favorite TV show at, and it's like the same as it always was, the energy of them is like bringing you down there, even though it's
Yeah.
a just a fucking desk, you know? So to partition your space, or to give your space like a certain meaning, or to give your space like even a new meaning if you want to rearrange it and stuff,
Mhm.
like, yes, that makes sense. I feel like everyone should try like a little space partitioning when it comes to the energy that you give out to your space.
Yeah, for sure. And before, like, we had to stay home, I loved going to coffee shops,
Mm-hmm.
and doing work. It was so nice because I would have my friends there, we would do work together and suffer together, and then we go home, you relax.
When I think about like the physicalness, or when I'm thinking about intentionally creating a space for myself, and I think about the physical things I want in there, I also think about a coffee shop. So let me explain what I mean. I think people should find like an aesthetic that they really like and vibe in, right? If you're into cottage core, keep that aesthetic in mind. If you're into coffee shop aesthetic like Davi and I are into, then I got to keep that in mind. And I'm like, what do I like about it? You know, there's a little
Mm.
bit of ambiance noise. There's a lot of like coffee smells in the air. It's usually very like bright and
Mhm.
fresh in a coffee shop. So that's a space that I also feel very productive in, you know. When I was thinking about creating a space where I need to be productive, I'm like, I need this to like replicate all of those like really great coffee shop feels. And like we said at the top of the episode, like Davi and I, like we don't live on our own. We don't have fucking like apartment to ourselves. Like we live
Mhm.
with our whole ass family. So this space I'm talking about, it's small. You know, it's literally just a desk, but just being there is enough, in my opinion.
Mhm,
So you really could find a
absolutely.
space for yourself anywhere. So for me, I found my aesthetic coffee shop, right? So now I just need to like clear my desk in order to make that. What do I need? A cute mug to drink my coffee from. That can't be like a shitty or like not cute mug. It needs to be a cute mug. That's very important, right?
Yes, it's inspiring.
Yeah. I love to burn candles because
Mm.
I really I really need my space to hit a lot of like my senses, you know. I read this one book, I think it's called oh, I think it was the habit book I read. Anyway, I read this one book about productivity. And they're like, if you want to form a new habit, if it hits more of like your senses, then you're more likely to like go through with it.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
Thank you. Yes. Yes,
Huh.
exactly.
I love that book.
It's great. You know, for example, brushing your teeth is a habit because pick up the brush, you brush your teeth, and you know, your mouth feels good. Maybe your mouth tastes good.
Mhm.
The texture is good.
It tingles.
It tingles, you know,
It
so
smells good.
it reinforces the habit. Also, societal pressure reinforces it too. Anyway,
I keep on telling Larry to brush his teeth at night.
wait, I used to not brush my teeth at night. That was just like not a thing. Like when I learned that was a thing, like in high school, my friend, I was
Oh,
just like talking and
like last
maybe
year? Okay.
my friend was like maybe talking about that, or maybe I was sleeping over with somebody. I don't even remember. But I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. And they're like, you're not going to brush your teeth?
Uh-huh.
I was all like, is that something people do? So now I sometimes do it. But anyway. um my the habit that I want to create, and the habit is an equivalent for like my mental space, right? A productivity headspace. I want to build a habit of like being productive at this desk that I have for myself. So I get a cute mug, I make my coffee, visuals, taste. Check, check. Okay. I love to light a candle, and my favorite type of candle is actually a coffee smelling candle.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a coffee hoe. So so I like to light that. Sometimes I switch it up, but I like to light that. So now smell, check.
Mhm.
And I also love to play ambiance noises in the background. Sometimes it's like little coffee shop and jazz chatter, or maybe like rain noises or
Oh.
fireplace noises. Hearing, check. And that's really all I need. And it's really, my desk is not like if I take a picture of it, it's not Pinterest worthy. But like those little physical things that I bring into my space is what helps cultivate the headspace that I really want to achieve.
That's really cool. You have like an opening ritual to get yourself ready for work. You make the coffee, you light the candle, and then you play the music, and then you're back, you're straight to work. That's
Mhm.
really sounds really relaxing.
It's great, honestly. I just like put my earbuds in, max volume. Like I don't talk to anybody. Anybody tries to like call for me in the house. If the house was on fire, I wouldn't know until the smoke was in, you know?
Right.
Like I'm totally tuned in. That is like the physicality of the type of space that I create.
Yeah, and I think too, like for me, finding aesthetic is really important considering how little space I have at home. Living with my family in a small space, there's a lot of clutter. So clutter drives me crazy. I like got into minimalism like years ago. So my desk is very minimal. There's my monitor, my wireless keyboard and
Mhm.
mouse, a little thing I use to like hold my pencils and stuff in, and that's pretty much it. And then like coffee, and that's it. Like I don't like having a lot of stuff on my desk because mentally it stresses me out.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, you know? You
Yeah,
see a cluttered space and you're like, I want to clean it. I can't focus on anything else.
exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel. So I think even though if you might not have a lot of space, at least this limited space you do have is yours. And I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to like try really hard to like think about what they really like want and need from a space. And I can't like emphasize it enough. Like it doesn't need to be a big space. It would be
Mhm.
amazing if it were a big space. I would love my own motherfucking apartment, my own fucking house. But the cards have
Yeah.
been given, and that's not what I have.
Yeah, like I'm literally in a hallway. Okay.
Yes.
And I am
So,
grateful for the hallway.
yes. Yes.
So, and one day I think Karen and I will take pictures of our little desk space and we'll put that on our Instagram post one day.
Just as important as like the physical boundaries and all the physical way you organize your space, right? The mental part of that plays into the physical part of that. So it's really good to organize your mental headspace, and you could do that by setting up boundaries, right?
Yep, exactly. For me, the first thing that comes to mind is work. Already probably noticed, like I do, I set hard boundaries for work because I do not want to center my life around work.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me sad and anxious. So what I do is I don't have work email on my phone, and that's just me. Maybe some other people's positions like require them to be like on call and stuff like that. But for me, I'm like, after 3:40, I'm not reading my emails because I feel like in our work culture, people make it seem like everything's urgent and it's not. Like people emailing people during vacations and stuff. And I'm like, no. So I set my emails off and I grade after school and make lessons after school or before school in the classroom. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I keep calm and not like like dread work so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Carolyn?
It's a little different for me because I work from home and I do bring my work like either at my work desk
Right.
or into
That's
my room sometimes
mhm.
too. But
That's a
I
but
guess
mentally, I'm
a
sure you like
mental boundary,
compartmentalize it.
I think a good example would maybe be just like, oh no, this could be a physical one too. No, I'll
That's
just
okay.
say
Okay.
like for my family, for example, like no one is allowed in my room. I mean, it's not like I yell at them to get out. They usually like stay out anyway. But because that is just like what has been normalized in this house, like my room is my room, and there's literally no reason for you to ever come in here. No reason for you to knock on my door. You know what I mean? That being said, my room is like a place that I know I could go into and I could just like literally just be alone and be by myself, which I love doing.
Yeah, it's okay. I consider that a mental thing because I know physicality and like mentality tie in together, but that is like a mental space because once you're in there, you're like, can take a deep breath and you're like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, like, um, as of now, this space, I know nobody will interfere with like my routine or what I'm doing right now. And that's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's so comforting.
It is like I am going to be interrupted, or I'm sorry, I'm not going to be interrupted and stuff like that. But I'm thinking like boundaries maybe people would have like with their partners or with their friends
Oh
too.
yeah, sure.
Um, I'm trying to think of one with Tito. I mean, we do everything together. To be honest, he's my fiance. We've been together forever,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I mean, I guess it's easier. But no, I can't think of anything. I I think with Tito, I don't know. Sometimes I feel bad because he feels like he doesn't have a space in this house, and it's my family
Oh.
house, you know.
Mhm.
So,
That's a
uh,
good thing to talk about. Yeah.
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but like per my observations, like if he needs to go study somewhere or like do something, or maybe he just wants to chill out and read or like talk on the phone, like he will drive somewhere else, you know?
Oh.
Yeah, which is fine. Like I'm not impressed or offended, but like
No, 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 yeah, yeah.
I'm just like, I wish he had like a space nearby. That's what Tito does, you know? That's the kind of boundary that he has.
Yeah, for sure. I think some boundaries that Larry and I have is that we see each other mostly on the weekends because during the week we're just really busy. And maybe that's not as intentional boundary setting, but still boundary. And another thing too is that we have boundaries over video games. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm over and we don't get to see each other that much. We have a group, basically, I let him play video games on Friday and Saturday. On Sunday, hell no, I need my sleep. So, like, in the beginning, he would be staying up until 2 or 4 or playing video games, and, like, he'll be really try to be really quiet, but occasionally I just wake up, and I'm like, "Babe, if I have to ask you one more time." But luckily we've reached that compromise, where he doesn't play on Sundays because I need sleep and he does too.
Yeah.
So, that's a mental one because that's more like time and space. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, I need you to be in the present moment with me."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we need some our time too.
Oh
And that
my
makes a lot of
gosh, yeah.
sense.
That's
Mhm.
so funny you mentioned that because like Tito is like you and I'm Larry.
What video games you playing?
No, it's because I stay up drawing in bed. So
Oh,
I'm comfy in bed, you know, but I'll be drawing late into the night. My iPad is like not
right
on
at
night
the
mode because I need to see the colors that I'm putting on the canvas.
yeah.
And I also like to have like the lights on. We do have dimmable lights in the room,
Mhm.
but I like to have it on just because it like balances out the light of my iPad. So
Yes.
anyway, and then Tito's like, "Oh my god, can you fucking go somewhere else? I want to sleep." And I'm all like, oh, "Okay, fine." And I can play, but Tito's totally in the right.
Mhm.
He wants to be in the room at fucking it's 12 a.m. and he wants to sleep. It's very reasonable of him.
Uh-huh. Yes, it is.
So I appreciate that from him, right? So now if I want to stay up late drawing, I just go to my work desk and then I post up there and that's that. So it's always good to like have boundaries with people and to respect people's boundaries too, as I do.
Mhm, exactly. And then, my boundaries with we could talk about friends next is
Mhm,
I think one that's kinda new that I've learned is, like, before I vent to friends, I, like, ask them if they're in okay headspace to, like, take in my emotional baggage.
mhm,
Or not baggage, my emotions that day and time.
right.
Because sometimes I'm, like, so freaking pissed at something or sad, and I just call up a friend and, like, vent, like, and it might be really heavy stuff, and, like, that I didn't never had considered, like, "Oh, maybe they don't wanna hear this right now." So, that's I kinda, like, try to ask my friends, "Hey, can I vent to you right now?" And then, that way, I'm making sure I'm considering their time and headspace, and I'm realizing, like, my family, does that with me, like, they'll vent to me, and I'm like, "Whoa." Like, and we get into fights because I'm like, I don't wanna hear your shit right now." I'm just tired and exhausted. It's like, that's something people don't think about. What do you think?
I agree with that. Like, I do like that, and I did notice that you started doing that. Not that I ever minded it before, because I love the tea.
Yeah, same.
Um, but no, that's actually a really good idea. And honestly, I feel like it helps you too, because it primes the person to receive the information well, right? For example, just today, I was talking to my fiance Tito, and I was
Mhm.
all like, it was the morning time, we were feeling good, but
Mhm.
there's something on my mind, and I'm all like, can I tell you something that I think is gonna make you mad? And he
Oh.
is and
Mhm.
he was all like, okay, I'm ready. And then we had a pretty decent, like productive conversation about it. I
Okay.
feel like if I had just like thrown it out there at him, he would have been upset but not productive.
Yeah, totally. I think thinking about it again too, yeah, people are prepared and it feels like it's not coming out of nowhere.
A boundary I have with my friends, I I don't feel obligated to reply to anybody. And I know you know this.
Yeah.
I I know people hate like being left on red. I don't know why, but they do. But like sometimes people will text me and I read it and I just I never feel any obligation to reply and it's kind of fucking awesome, you know. Does that make me an asshole sometimes? Perhaps you could call it what you want. But it's like it just feels nice not having to be like at the beckon of at the calling of anybody. I feel like I'm in control of my own time and energy and eventually I'll get back to them. I'll bet a couple of days late or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it goes back to not everything is urgent, you know? Like
Yes.
if I
Yes.
were to text Carolyn like, "Hey, oh, what the hell did I text you?" Like something not urgent, like, "Hey, did you know like this my favorite apples are Fuji apples?" Like something stupid shit like that, okay?
Yeah.
And like 2 or 3 days pass, I'm not gonna be offended. Think about it, like most of us are pretty busy anyway. So it's like, and it happens when we just look at a text message, we think of replying and we don't. And it's not personal and it should not be that big of a deal. Unless like it happens a lot all the time. But
Mhm.
we can even argue, okay, if it does happen all the time, whatever. Because sometimes too, I used to reply like right away, but then sometimes I don't have the energy to, I don't really have anything good to say, nothing useful, I feel. And I'm just kind of like, I don't have to continue that conversation. Like it pretty much just ended itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels great. Like, or, like you said, sometimes you don't have the energy to reply, or sometimes I'm just like vibing, and I'm like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, don't talk to me. I am drawing right now.
Yeah,
Something good is
exactly.
happening. And I suppose that kind of habit might be good if you want to spend like quality time where you're like very present with whomever you're spending it with, then you don't have the habit of like replying to everything immediately and stuff like that because you know that things are not urgent. I mean, most things are not urgent. Maybe some things actually are, but most of the time they're not.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I'm like adopting either on purpose or not on purpose. And I
Mhm.
like it because we're more aware of our time and how we want to spend it.
Yeah. And look, do I understand why people get upset for being left on red? Like, I suppose I do, but at the same time, I don't care.
I want to tell a story about how I set boundaries with my family because family, you grow up with them and they think they can just like call on you, expect you to drop everything and do stuff for them or just talk to them. So when I was in college, it was my first time away from home and my mom would call me every day.
Mm.
And sometimes like multiple times a day just to see how I'm doing and check up on me. And we just kind of have the same conversations. And it was starting to frustrate me because I'm trying to just do my thing and you know, the whole reason why I left was because they were so they were so strict on me as a kid. I cannot have sleepovers. I cannot go to the
Mhm.
fucking movies. It would take 2 to 5 business transaction days to like ask them if I can do
Yeah.
something. So it really started to frustrate me. And then one day when mom called, I just kind of asked her, "Hey mom, like thanks for calling and checking up on me, but can you like is it okay if you call me less? Like maybe 2 or 3 times a week?" And she's like, "Oh," and hung up on me.
That was straight to the point.
Yeah. Then I did feel bad, but at the same time I didn't. And then she, slowly accepted it and then eventually called me, 3, 4 times a week. And or if she did call me more than that, I would just not pick up.
Yeah.
And she knew where the line was.
I also have a story about putting a boundary on my mom. And like, if y'all have ever listened to like any of our more political episodes, oh my God, you know, some of the bullshit she gets into. My boundary is that I don't talk politics with my mom. And like, have we said in the past that you should talk to your parents about like political stuff to help them stay informed? Yes, but only if they're not 1000% delusional. So I'm just like, I've been through it so many times already. I'm all like, no, I need to stop because I love myself too much to willingly put myself in a losing situation. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If she brings it up, I'm just like, cool story, mom. Anyway, or if she goes on and on, or like, what's the word? Like, berates me, or like, ask me like questions about it, I'm like, I have nothing to say. because you wouldn't listen, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
So we could talk about something else now if you want, but if you don't, then I'm just gonna go. And she's all like, oh, you always do this, Carolyn, blah, blah, blah. You're just young, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go now.
Yeah, you have to, like, protect that space and energy because 'cause you've tried, you're not
Mm-hmm.
turning your back away from trying to have good conversations. You tried and you know it doesn't work, so what's the point? I have another story I just thought of about a family member I had to set a boundary with. I don't wanna say who it is because 'cause they'll probably get mad at me. They know I talked about it. So I'll just say a family m a relative.
Yeah.
So a relative who, I'm really close with, like, we have a love-and-hate relationship, was with their partner for a long time, and then I didn't really see that relative that much during that relationship they had because, there was, like, one of their first real relationships. They tend to kinda just go off in their own world.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm cool with that, like, not talking to them for, like, months, and, like, when I do see them, we talk. But then after the breakup, my relative started, like, hitting me up a lot more, and it was overwhelming because I was just so used to our relationship being like, "Yeah, when we talk, we talk." Like, we're not really we're family, but we're not really friends, and I felt that after the breakup, they wanted to hang out with me more, talk to me more, and do friend things, like go out and get drinks. I just felt really uncomfortable because I kind of thought, okay, well, where were you when you were in a relationship? And it just was like uncharted territory where it's like blurred between the boundary of like family versus friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like that and I like acted out. Also at one point they were calling me almost every day for like a few.
Wow.
Yeah, just like, "Hey, what's up?" or "Hey, da, da, da." And it was really overwhelming, and then one day I was kinda like, "Hey, like, I appreciate you calling me, but, like, this is, like, a big change, and can you please not call me as much? Like, I'm busy with my credential and work." And they got really upset. They're like, "I'm just trying to, like, make a connection with you. Like, I don't understand, like, why you're so, cold and blah, blah, blah." They lashed out on me, and I'm just like, "Oh my god." That's, like, the ultimate
Yikes.
isn't that the ultimate fear when people set boundaries?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
stuck to my guns and I was like, "You know what? As long as you just stop talking to me, I'm okay." Accomplished. So, like but luckily, like, months later, they realized and apologized to me, "Hey, I'm sorry, like, I realized, I was coming at you, and I see, like, why that was overwhelming, blah, blah, blah. I just reflected a lot, blah, blah, blah." But that was, like, really a struggle because I think they realized family was important and that they were kinda neglecting the familial relationship, but at
Mhm.
the same time, it's like, I'm not free now all of a sudden just because you wanna reconnect, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, has that ever happened to you? What do you think about that?
No, I've never had anyone lash out to me like that. I might
Mhm.
have had people make, like, sly joking comments about how I don't reply to their text exhibit A. But no, I've never had, like, any type of backlash like that,
Oh,
so I thought that was, like maybe because you 2 are relatives,
yeah, comfortable.
they felt more comfortable, like, doing that to you, you know?
Yeah.
I definitely am more comfortable, like, lashing out at my
Oh,
family,
absolutely, yeah.
but I definitely don't feel comfortable, like, lashing out to, like, I don't know, my friend, even though I feel like something has happened, you know?
Mhm.
Like, when I had to do friend breakups, like, if I had to do that to my sister, I would have done it, like, in a millisecond. I'm like, "This is bullshit, I'm talking to them immediately." But, like, when, I had to break up with, like, my ex-friend Harry Potter that we talked about in our toxic friendship episode way back in the day, I
Mhm.
was all like, "Oh, no. No, this is
Yeah,
terrible."
right?
So I think that's pretty interesting, but yeah, I'm sorry that happened. That's very awkward, kind of
Mm,
embarrassing for them, to be honest.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
But I'm glad I did it. I know it's really uncomfortable, but
Mhm.
I needed to protect my space and my energy, and I was like, "I
As you should.
cannot." Yeah, I was like, "I cannot uphold all my responsibilities and, like, having to tend to someone's, energy that's, like, broke a dam and then, like, energy, like, flooded towards me. I cannot, like this is not the time
Yeah,
or the
there's only
amount."
so much willpower, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you know what I hate? Since you're
Mm.
talking about how your family members would, like, keep calling you every day or very often at least.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, when people call me and then one, they start off the conversation like, "Hi," and then you're like, "Hi?" And they're like, what's up? And I'm like, is there a point to like, maybe you should go first? Like, you're calling me. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Like,
Or when they call and they just keep going on and you're like, oh my God, I did not want to get into like a 2 hour conversation. Like we didn't even plan this phone call.
right?
Like there's no way I even want to give like an hour or 2 hours to you or even like 30 minutes to you.
Like, it didn't seem, like, very intentional. It's like, "Hey, like, we're calling, but what's up? Like, what do you wanna talk about?" Like,
I guess the uncertainty is just like it bothers me, I suppose. I'm sure a lot of like casual people out there are like, it's whatever, I'll talk to them whenever. They don't have to have a topic. Usually when I call my friends, I plan it and then I also tell them like it's probably gonna be like 30 minutes max. So
yeah.
where don't worry about being stuck with me for a long time because I also want to go. So
No, I feel it. Yeah. Like, if a friend calls me, hits me up, and we talk, I'm kind of expecting it to be, like, no more than 20, 30 minutes. I just 'cause, like, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing that day. And yeah, I'm the same way. I like to plan, like, my phone calls just because that just works for me. So if it's like if I haven't called my friend in a long time, I know, like, we'll be talking for an hour or 2, just depending on the friendship.
Mhm.
But, usually, yeah, it's planned, and, of course, friends are open to call me, like, if they just wanna, like, update me on something. But usually, yeah, if somebody randomly calls me, it's usually an update, and it's pretty quick.
I don't know. I suppose I'm just like very protective of like my time.
Yeah, that's okay. And the last portion we want to talk about is space in terms of time. So we're talking about like taking a day off when you need it, or taking like a weekend vacation, or maybe even a more extensive vacation. So it's funny because Carol was like, "Hey, can you talk about this?" So I was like, "Yeah, of course," because I like take off like as much or max out my PTO all the time.
As you should.
Yeah. So how do I know when to take a day off? So whenever I feel like I can't do like just even errands during the week is when I'm like, okay, I'm overloading myself. I need to take a day off just to like do some errands and also chill. So I usually take a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday off and pretend to be sick, honestly. So I try not to do a Monday or a Friday unless I'm actually sick. It kind of just like frees up my time, and then it gets me out of the cycle of like the 5-day work week, as we talked about in our 40-hour work week episode. And it
Mhm.
just kind of breaks the monotony of the work week because sometimes it's just like day after day and just want to like change things up a little bit. So, what I like to do is do some errands, maybe get some food. I don't really get to hang out with friends because they're at work too. So I think I just like watch like dog videos and stuff, but that's what I like to do on my days off. What do you like to do on your days off?
I also like taking like random mental health days. Oh my God. When the pandemic first started, I just so many random days off. I was just like, nope, Friday's off. I'm not doing it today. Sick day. This is my mental
Yep.
health day. And it's like, oh my God, vacations or even like staycations, essentially a break from your usual schedule. God damn, that is so fucking nice. On my day off, honestly, I usually just chill. Sometimes I feel like, oh, it's my day off from work. I'm gonna do other type of work like drawing or like this and that. But then I just chill all day and I'm all like, no, I probably should have been doing this anyway. Like I feel fine. This is great. I remember when Tito and I went on our first like official vacation together to Costa Rica. Holy
Oh.
shit, it was so nice. Like I want my hobby to be vacationing. Like it is so good. Yeah, I think there's just like he's the perfect person to go on a vacation with me because I've been to like cool quote unquote places before, like
Mhm,
France with my family, but I don't like recall it as like a super amazing time
mhm.
because I was always kind of like forced to do everything that they wanted to do.
Yeah, mhm.
And I'm just like, I don't like that. When I go on vacation, yes, maybe I will do something that is like unique to the area because I'm there and I went there for a reason.
Mhm,
But some days I'm just like, I just want to chill in my room, you know?
mhm.
But I don't want to feel pressured to like go out or talk to anybody.
Yeah, same. Like, sometimes it's just, like, about reclaiming your space and, like, "Fuck work." Like, I'm gonna be home because I could have been home because I can be, and I want to. Like, just be in your room and chill and, like, just take that time to do things like you would do to relax.
Yes. Yeah. And when you go on a family vacation, like I feel like, in my opinion, you're like stripped of all authority
Ugh,
to just chill,
dude.
basically, or just to
Yeah.
exist because I don't know why they get offended when you just simply want to relax that day, even though it does not
It's
affect them at all.
true.
It's like, oh my, sorry, I think about this one time I was in fucking like Las Vegas with my family. My parents were out somewhere. My siblings were like, "Oh, let's go swimming in the pool," and I'm like, I don't want to go swimming. But I'll be here. You two have fun. And then again, they were fucking something snapped within them, I suppose, and they're like, "You always do this, Carolyn. Like you're always talking to Tito," because I just want to like chill and like talk to Tito on the phone, you know. And they're like, we just want to do something together. And you just want to stay here. It's like we don't even have a sister. Like,
Oh.
what is going on with like it was we were standing around for like hours being ganged up on by my brother and my sister. And I'm all like, I'm having an out of body experience. What the fuck is going on right now? You know? I just that's a really extreme example of like me
Yeah.
just wanting to react and then somebody having like a visceral react a visceral reaction to me just wanting to relax, you know?
Yeah. You just wanna, like, eject yourself.
Yeah. I'm like, can I just, oh my God, you
Dude,
know?
I feel it, like, space even, like, in a different space, like, I went to Cambodia with my dad, like, 4 years ago in 2017. That was amazing, but
Mm-hmm.
holy shit, my privacy was shot because
Mm-hmm.
my family being the tour guides, like, I had to follow wherever they went. I was in Phnom Penh, the capital, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get a coffee, like, down the street," and they're like, "No, don't." I was like, "Why? Like, you can't don't go by yourself, like, it's dangerous," and
Okay.
I was like, "I can get a coffee." I was like, I need to be by myself because like,
Oh yeah.
Cambodia is, yeah, very communal, you're always with people, privacy standards, a perception of privacy is different, like, if you kinda, like, close yourself out a little bit, it's, like, a little bit disrespectful, so I'm just like, like, the
Yeah.
American in me is like, "I need my own room, I need to close it."
Yeah.
You know? Like, just not being able to be by myself, like, I wanna ride the motorcycles and the mopeds, like, I wanna do my own thing, like, I want my own hotel
Literally.
room.
Literally.
Fuck. One time I was in the hotel room and, like, my aunt, I love her, but she is very talkative, and I think I, like, did something and, like, her voice kinda sounds like yelling, but she's not.
Yeah.
Like, one time she's, like, yelling at me, and I just went to the bathroom to take a shower, and I cried.
Oh my God.
'Cause it was probably, like, day 18, and I was just like
Holy shit. That's sorry.
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at my breaking point, and I was just like
Yeah.
dejected.
I'm so sorry that happened. No,
Oh.
it's so true though, because like people feel like they're like, well, you're here, so I am obligated to your time and your energy and your attention.
Mhm, and it's so constricting and but yeah, that's, how I can get to you.
Yeah, very few people understand that. Maybe they feel like they need to be a good host, and that's
Yeah.
why, but it's all like, honestly, you're fine. You know, it's gonna be fine. That's why I love Tito. Like, he understands that. Some days I just want to be in the room, and he's like, that's cool. I'm gonna go explore the city. And I'm like, I love that for you, Tito. Please go, you
Mhm.
know?
Exactly.
Or I remember this one time I was on vacation with Tito's family, right?
Mhm.
We're just chilling, and I shared a room with me, Tito, and then Tito's brother. And I love Tito's brother, Oscar. I suppose he's my brother-in-law. I just call him my brother because he's
Mhm.
basically my brother now.
Yeah.
And I was just chilling in the room drawing because that's what I wanted to do. I'm just like, oh my God, I just want to be alone. Oscar walks in. That's my brother's name, Tito's
Mhm.
brother's name. Oscar walks in and he's all like, hey. And I was like, hey. And he
Mhm.
was like, I just came here to chill. And I'm like, thank God, me too. We don't have to say anything. And he's all like, I love that. And I'm all like, yes.
I love
And
that.
we
Yeah.
literally just sat around on our own beds, just being in our own space and respecting each other's space. And it was like, honestly, kind of incredible.
No, it really is, and, like, I love that we're talking about that because sometimes you just need to be alone by yourself. And
Literally.
people just interpret it as a lot of things like, "Oh, is she okay? Blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Yes." I don't have
Yeah.
to be around people all the time.
They're like, oh, is she okay? And I'm like, I'm not going to be if you keep bothering me.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we mentioned, like I just feel like people are always like so entitled to your time. And I'm all like, no, you're not. You're not. to your time and space.
Yeah.
Anyway, so vacations, I don't know when's a good time for me to take a vacation. I usually just hit like a breaking point and I'm like, oh fuck, this is
Yeah,
I'm not being preventative.
for sure. I was gonna say my approach is more preventative. So how I usually do it is, well, first of all, I like to say people use all your PTO. For me, I do not give a fuck about like, being like amazing to my boss and like never taking a day off. Like I don't care. Like people like get rewards for that, Carolyn. Did you know that?
At
Like not
work,
taking, yeah,
like,
yeah, so like to like incentivize like good teacher attendance, sometimes they'll give them a reward or like a pay like a bonus. And
oh,
when I
what the
heard
fuck?
that, I was just like, what's better? Me using all my PTO or just getting a few hundreds of dollars?
It's only a few hundred? It
I wasn't
costs.
sure. It's like
Oh,
maybe like
okay.
a few thousand. I wasn't sure. I think it was over 1,000, but I was just like, nah.
It better be more than all of my PTO combined. Like
Yeah,
the
no,
fuck?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. 'Cause I was thinking about it, I was like, wait,
Mhm,
taking time off and getting paid
mhm.
or getting extra money, what's more valuable to me? I was like, but I'll take time off.
Literally. Ew, I didn't know they had the fucking attendance rewards for
Yeah.
adults.
This
I
was
hate
like a
that.
this is like a specific school, like
Okay.
its own like yeah. So I was just like, no. So for me, when I know when to take in a vacation, sometimes I don't know because like I feel bad, but then I'm like, fuck that capitalism, no. So usually just taking what I have available time. Like for me, luckily I work at a school, so like spring breaks. Or if you don't work at a school where it's seasonal like that, then maybe after you accomplish like a big project and you want to celebrate, that's totally valid. And I
Mhm,
totally encourage that.
mhm.
And then going back to the PTO thing, I had like a lot of PTO left, like a week's worth. And
Nice.
my spring break was already 2 weeks. And I asked my employer, I was like, hey, can I take this week off? And she was like, isn't that the week after spring break? I was like, yes. I was like, and she was like, I was like, it's worth a shot. And she's like, okay. So
Nice. She was all
yeah.
like, that's genius.
Yeah. So I just extended that. Or just honestly, I think it boils down to if you're traveling with somebody, I just do the week or weeks when they're available too. Just whatever
Mhm.
works, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like I still am taking the risk asking towards the beginning of the school year or work year or middle or end. It's like any time's not really a good time because your employer's like, why are you taking so much time off?
Ew, people actually say that?
Like toxic bosses, yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. But yeah, I love taking vacations. I went on a 3-week, if you notice, I like to take long ass vacations when I can. Obviously, not everyone's that lucky, but like Cambodia, I was there for 3 weeks. In Europe,
Mhm,
I was there for 3 weeks, and it
mhm.
was just so much better. Like you really got to see the people and the places, and it's just like traveling. Yeah, like you said, I want like vacation to be my hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to be able to travel whenever I want. And I think what's it called? The benefits of going on vacation, as you might know, is that you feel refreshed and when you come back, you feel like you can take on or resume whatever you were doing. It's just a nice way to celebrate. But also rest is not a reward. It's what did you say last time?
Rest is not a reward, it's required.
Exactly.
Mhm,
So that's how I kind of try to view it so I don't feel bad for taking time off, except,
mhm. Exactly. So, we talked about how you could cultivate your physical space when you're at home or, wherever you are, you could carve out a little corner for yourself. Like we said, it doesn't have to be a big space. If you have a big space, love that for you. But really, I feel like anyone could create or cultivate a space for themselves. And also, what's equally or maybe even more important is like having a really good like mental space or mental really good headspace, so that you can be productive, right? You could have the most stylish or cutest apartment ever, but like if you're all fucked up, like I don't know how much good that's going to do you. And then on top of that, how you organize or like value your time is also something good to consider. So, I think some of the biggest tips I have when it comes to physical space is to really looking for the aesthetic that makes you feel good. Honestly, it was a game changer for me.
The takeaways that I presented was for your physical space, making sure you have like a separate area for it. Sleep space, keeping that sleep hygiene tight. Your career, making sure that's separated somehow, and then your own like work creative space as well. Because when you compartmentalize things, I think life is a lot easier in your head, and physically too. And another takeaway for me is that having less clutter. I don't know. It's proven that people are really stressed in a cluttered environment. So
Yeah.
I have like low tolerance for that. So hopefully that helps too. And then in terms of mental boundaries, setting firm boundaries with your family because you might need it the most with them considering they're the most comfortable with you and your partners and at work. It's really uncomfortable at first, but it really pays off once you set them.
Hmm.
And then vacation, try to listen to your body, your stressors, and how you react when it's time so that you know to take a day off or vacation if you can. It's super great. I totally encourage you to use all your PTO. What's the use of having them at the end and like they don't even roll over? Like, no. But anyway, space is super important. It's what keeps me sane, and I hope everyone can cultivate their own space.
We're going to wrap up today's podcast here, and we want to hear from you. How do you create your own spaces and boundaries? And what type of vibe or aesthetic makes you feel the most at ease and creative? Email us at just2asianwoman@gmail.com, DM us on Instagram at just2asianwoman podcast, or comment on our YouTube channel at just2asianwoman.
And you can find our podcast on Spotify, Anchor FM, and YouTube.
And thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Like, we seriously appreciate that so much. If you liked it, you should totally recommend it to like your friends or like your cousins or your parents, anyone really who will listen. And you'll hear from us again next week. Again, my name is Carolyn.
And I'm Davy, and we're
Just
just two
two Asian
Asian
women.
women.
Bye,
Woo!
everyone.